5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to day 23 of National Podcast Post Month here on the Odd Dad Out podcast. I am your host, as always, the so over turkey Adam Higgins, the Odd Dad Out. And it's Friday. And you know what Friday means? It is time for this week's Recommended Listening.
Recommended Listening.
Broadcasting from Forever Dog Studios in downtown Hollywood, Los Angeles, California, America. It's the new time podcast in the style of old-time radio. The Thrilling Adventure Hour. Treasury. Kids, shine your Astro Spurs and don your robot fists, because it's time for Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars. Justice rides a rocket steed across the crimson plains of the fourth planet, where one man brings fear to robots and aliens and hope to humans who make this frontier planet their home. He is Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars.
I'm from Earth.
With the help of his Martian companion, Croach the Tracker.
I am from Galut Proctor, which we call Mars.
Sparks, Nevada rights the outlaw wrongs on Mars.
That's right, Adventure-Keteers. Yeah, that's a thing. The Thrilling Adventure Hour has returned. And this time, they're doing it a little differently. Now, if you're familiar with the Thrilling Adventure Hour, you are aware that it was basically a live stage performance variety show with different skits and a lot of ongoing storylines like Beyond Belief, Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars that you just heard. There's so many others. And there were spin-offs too. And the cast of the Thrilling Adventure Hour included Busy Phillips was part of the Sparks, Nevada cast. Just about everybody that was involved in the Thrilling Adventure Hour are somebodies. They're all rather, well known. And I'm blanking everybody's name. I'm so sorry. Mark Gagliardi, who's Croach the Tracker on Sparks. Paul F. Tompkins. Paget Brewster. I'm blanking Sparks. Oh my God, I'm blanking. Sparks, Nevada, and the reason why I played the Sparks, Nevada clip were, two reasons. Sparks, Nevada was by far my favorite segment of the show. That was my favorite skit that they did. It is my boy's favorite skit to this day. My warm-up whenever I pick up my guitars is to play the theme from Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars. Now, and I love it. It's just a great old silly Western, except it happens to take place on Mars. And I love Mark Evan Jackson. Sorry, I had to. Mark Evan Jackson is Sparks, Nevada, Marshall on Mars. But I loved the Thrilling Adventure Hour, and I didn't get into it until after the show was technically canceled. Whereas, like I said, it was a live stage show. Once a month, they would perform this at a club or a theater in LA. And I did this for like 15 years. And they would break it up and they would release the different segments as a podcast. Well, I started listening to this in late 2016, or maybe mid 2016. I'd have to go back and see when I featured the show the first time. Well, turns out they ended the show in 2015. And they would do sporadic shows here and there, and they released a couple of specials where they would get back together and do a show or something. But for the most part, the show ended in 2015. And that was kind of it. And it was one of those things where you would stay subscribed to the Thrilling Adventure Hour because just in the off chance they might drop something. Like, oh, here's a clip from a unreleased episode from 4 years ago or whatever, and so they might occasionally drop a little clip like that. Well, then in October you would get, or you, if you were still subscribed, you got this little like 10-minute message from the creators basically saying, we're bringing the show back. The Thrilling Adventure Hour is returning. We don't have a new name for it yet, but what we're planning on doing is having a new team of writers, volunteers, people coming in saying, hey, I have a story, like a one-off story for Sparks Nevada or a Beyond Belief, or maybe they wrote an entire show with all of the segments and, you know, all of their in-house characters and everything. But instead of being performed live on stage, it's all being recorded in a studio with full production and redoing the themes. And I will say, I'm not a huge fan of the reworked, like fully big produced somebody other than Mark Evan Jackson performing the theme from Sparks Nevada, because it just has a certain feel to it. And if you want to hear it, or if you don't already know what the theme from Sparks Nevada sounds like, look it up on YouTube. It is just, I love it. It's just great. But him singing it and the way he does it, and it's the character of Sparks singing his own theme song, and it is sung in the first person. So, but the new version is, you know, they got somebody in there with a big gruff voice, and they're just, you know, really hamming it up. Not that it's not cheesy already, but somebody else singing about Sparks Nevada just doesn't seem to have the same effect as Sparks singing his own praises. Again, my boys can sing that entire song beginning to end. They love it. Again, anytime I pick up my guitar, that's the first thing I have to play. But what they're doing is they've got new people writing, so they're not, you know, within canon. They're not within the storylines. You don't have to. Like when I first started listening, I went back to the very beginning and I listened to every single Sparks Nevada episode in order, because the story is broken up over all these years. Well, now new episodes aren't going to be in one serialized story. You won't have to have listened to last week's show or last month's show to get to understand the story. You just get the characters, and the characters are interjected. And again, it's all being recorded in the studio now. And then, so what they're saying is they're going to have one brand new episode with, you know, studio recording and all fancy pants now in once a month. And then the other episode of the month, they're going to release something like from the vault, something like unreleased episodes and things like that. So the first episode they dropped was a full recording of basically a full show, including Bocatino business clips. There was a Sparks Nevada. There was a kind of a haunted hitchhiker story. And there was like a spin-off almost of a Beyond the Belief story. I was like, this is good. And it's the whole thing rather than just one segment. So it was a much longer episode. But it was really cool. And again, with full production of everything and all done in studio instead of on stage. I do miss the stage shows. I do miss the sound and the, you know, when a joke would really hit and the crowd would go nuts and things like that. And whenever a theme song would tee up and you would just hear the crowd go nuts whenever a new theme would tee up, because they're just great. Those songs are just, they stick with you so well. So I'm really excited for this, because you're getting to hear some of the old stuff. You're getting to hear new stuff, new Thrilling Adventure Hour stories. I love these characters. I've missed the show so much. I'm so glad I stayed subscribed to it all this time. And if you were at any time a Thrilling Adventure Hour fan, and maybe when the show ended, you stopped subscribing, you just, it's like, well, show's over, click unsubscribe. Go back and subscribe to the Thrilling Adventure Hour. Treasury is what they're calling it now. Check it out. It's so awesome. And it's so great to hear these new stories and to see some of the old ones. They just released the full boat show. If you ever heard the legend of the boat show, it was a one-off story written by a whole other team of people with just one massive story that was completely independent of everything else that they did. But they released the boat show not too long ago, and it was just hilarious. And this whole thing, and listening to all of these great performers doing these shows and doing these characters again. The first, hearing Sparks Nevada for the first time again just gave me a warm and fuzzy feeling again. I just love it. So again, check them out. Subscribe to the Thrilling Adventure Hour Treasury. It is so much fun. It is just, it is bringing me back to a time years ago when I would listen and wait anxiously for the newest Thrilling Adventure Hour. And now I get to do that again and get new stuff. So I'm excited. You should be excited because it's awesome. So check it out at thrillingadventurehour.com. But that's going to do it for me for this week's feature. And for this week for now, I will be back tomorrow. It will probably be a late show because I'm working early tomorrow. Yay, weekends. But remember, you can subscribe to the show at odddadoutpodcast.com. Hit me up on the social medias, of course, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at odddadout. Email show at odddadoutpodcast.com. Suggestions, recommendations, anything you want to talk about. You just want to say, man, how was your Thanksgiving? Not that you didn't hear that already yesterday. But I'm having so much fun doing these. I can't believe I've only got about a week left. But I will be back tomorrow. I know I didn't get to the news today, but I think I'll probably throw in some news stuff tomorrow. I think that's where I'm leaning with it. So until then, I'm still Adam Higgins, the Odd Dad out. Thank you and good night.